presidential election is heating up for both candidates as November fast approaches.
Plus, the latest on this morning's deadly plane crash in Pakistan. All this coming up on District News Now.
Hello and welcome to District News Now. I'm Matt LaFemina.
And I'm Lauren Landau.
With 6 months until November's presidential elections, the race seems to be neck and neck between President Obama and expected Republican nominee Mitt Romney. A CNN poll of polls combining 4 recent voter polls released on Wednesday shows that 47% of registered voters support Obama, with 45% supporting Romney. Meanwhile, both campaigns are reaching out to Latino voters. On Wednesday, Obama launched an aggressive national effort to rally Latino supporters. This could help him carry key states like Colorado, Florida, and Nevada. Romney is holding a rally in Tempe, Arizona, a city with a large Latino population.
With the presidential election heating up, the Obama campaign is focusing on some key issues. Trey Dyer has more on the story.
With the November presidential election fast approaching, the Obama campaign is planning to amp up national security as a campaign issue. At the George Washington Elliott School of International Affairs, over 200 people gathered for the 2012 Challenge Accepted conference to discuss U.S. national security, the upcoming presidential election, and foreign policy. Panelists for the event included National Security Advisor to President Obama's re-election campaign, Michelle Flournoy, members of D.C. NGOs, and more. Former congressional candidate and CIA agent Matt Zeller says although usually dominated by Republican candidates, President Obama's policies on national security will be a major benefit come election time.
I don't think you can at this point claim that this president has not been strong on foreign policy and strong on national security. He took a very, very, very sound command decision that showed a lot of strength and courage to go after Osama bin Laden. President Bush had 8 years and didn't even make it a priority. For Republicans to claim that this president doesn't take his national security responsibilities seriously is obscene.
Although some experts believe Obama's policies show strong support for national security, budget allocations say differently. In 2013, the budget for Homeland Security is set to be $191 million less, and the Department of Defense budget will be $5.2 billion less. Legislative researcher at Better World Campaign Ryan Kemna says that despite budget cuts, Obama's support for national security remains.
I think it's important to keep in mind that it's not just about funding for the Department of Defense. Foreign aid is also a critical part of our overall national security policy as well. And the Obama administration has been really focused on making sure that a lot of those accounts are fully funded.
Kemna and Zeller agree that until national security threats like a nuclear Iran are handled by the Obama administration, it remains to be seen just how big a factor national security will play in the upcoming election. For District News Now, I'm Trey Dyer.
Nearly 130 civilians are dead after an airplane crashed today in Pakistan. The plane crashed just a few miles from the airport in Islamabad, on the way to an airport in the Pakistani capital. Witnesses in Rawalpindi say that a fireball heading towards the ground. The country's Civilian Aviation Authority blames the crash on poor weather. This crash comes less than 2 years after a civilian jet crashed in the hills overlooking Islamabad. All 152 people aboard on that crash in July 2010 were killed.
Newly published photographs show U.S. troops posing with the body parts of dead insurgents in Afghanistan. The photos were taken in 2010 and show a soldier holding the severed legs of a suicide bomber. The U.S. military and civilian officers condemned the soldiers' actions, and the Army says an investigation is underway. The scandal comes after a series of blows to the U.S. military's image in Afghanistan. In January, U.S. Marines made a video urinating on Afghan corpses. In February, protests broke out after what the military said was the accidental burning of Qurans. 6 Americans were killed in response to the burnings. And last month, a U.S. soldier allegedly killed 17 civilian villagers, mainly women and children.
The U.S. Secret Service is in hot water over a prostitution scandal in Colombia. 11 Secret Service agents are under investigation for bringing prostitutes to a hotel. The incident began when one of the prostitutes was disputed loudly how much she was to be paid. The dispute brought the entire incident to light and sparked outrage in the U.S. and Colombia. One former Secret Service agent says the incident sounds, quote, unreal.
Well, I am shocked and I am surprised because I have spent 31 years traveling on advances under 6 different presidents. I was assigned to the Presidential Protective Detail on 2 separate occasions for a total of 7 years at the White House. I supervised advance agents. I conducted advances. I had advance agents report to me in my supervisory position on the President's detail prior to a visit. As the assistant director, I had many components of the advance teams reporting to me, and I have never seen an incident like this in the 31 years of my career.
Coming up on District News Now, the most prolific NASA shuttle finds a retirement home in D.C. and a new meaning to metrosexual. Metro Police crack down on sexual harassment. All this and more after the break. It's the end of an era. NASA's most iconic space shuttle, Discovery, has taken its final flight. The craft was flown from Florida to Dulles Tuesday, bolted to the back of a Boeing jumbo jet, and making 3 victory laps in skies over the nation's capital. Hundreds flocked to the National Mall to catch a glimpse of Discovery's last flight. On Thursday, the craft was moved to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in Virginia, where it will be on display this summer.
The Occupy D.C. movement is on the move. When are they moving and where are they going? Suzanne Bernard has the story.
2 Occupy D.C. sites became one on April 14th. The Freedom Plaza movement joined McPherson Square when their permit was set to expire on the 29th. The Occupy movement is an international protest against social and economic inequality. Its goal is to make the economic structure in society fairer. But the 2 Occupy D.C. movements are not identical.
Well, originally, the occupation at Freedom Plaza was designed to be an anti-war protest, basically against the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. There's still some differences because they're more based on individual organizations like Code Pink, the Iraqi war veterans, things like that. We really don't have any sort of separate organizations that are allied with us. We're basically just an occupation movement.
Transition from Freedom Plaza to McPherson has not been smooth.
Like any marrying couple does, transitioning is not an easy thing. You know, it's a compromise. It's a place where both encampments have to come together and have a better understanding how they make that work. Was it an easy thing? No. It took time to allow certain things to happen. There are bruises that needed to be mended. There are wounds that needed to heal.
Not all occupiers feel that past injuries have healed. Some say that there's still a division between the 2 Occupy DC movements.
It's been difficult. I mean, those people, Freedom Plaza, they've been there for 6 months, so it's really a home. There's a lot of very strong emotional attachments there. So, we've had this separation for so long that it still appears as a us and them, and it's going to take time for it to build trust as a fully functioning unit all together. It's going to take time to, just feel comfortable with each other and be able to work together.
Different or not, fighting or not, occupiers say that the movement is here to stay indefinitely. If you would like more information, please visit www.occupydc.org. I'm Suzanne Bernard, reporting for DNN.
again, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second annual Blossom Kite Festival.
The second annual Blossom Kite Festival is going on right now on the grounds of the Washington Monument. Kids can participate in all sorts of handmade activities. The wind socks are made from recycled water bottles, and they can do that, and then also make their own kite. Have demonstrations by master kite makers.
This is one of the East Coast's largest kite festivals, and there's a focus on homemade kites. And so at the moment we're judging kites that people have made themselves, and we judge kites on flight, and beauty in the air, and craftsmanship and structural design. And those kites that do the best on all four factors are the ones that turn out to be winners.
We came to the Kite Festival to meet friends. We're here visiting friends in DC, and they said this is one of their favorite events all year long. So we came to join them and to see all the kites. It's the first time to bring my children to DC, so we've been walking around the mall, and it was a great activity to do to take a break from all the walking and to enjoy ourselves and fly a kite. Great! It's been fun to watch the different types of kites and watch the different competitions. My favorite so far, the individual kites, were the scuba diver and the whale. On public property, and we think that it's a free event for us to come and observe it. So we're happy to be out here, and it's a great attraction instead of just seeing just the museum or just all the beautiful buildings. It's been a nice break in the day to come and see it.
At some point today,
Since there are 5 weeks of free and open activities for everyone, I would really suggest going to nationalcherryblossomfestival.org to find all the information about the different events that you can participate in.